This show is intended for mature audiences. Topics of adult content, triggers, and explicit language may be discussed with or without warning. All thoughts and opinions belong to our hosts and do not reflect the original creator's own intentions. Spoilers for the book will be discussed, and while most discussion will revolve around the picked book, we do not guarantee there will be no spoiler warnings for other books or series. Listener discretion is advised. Welcome to Biblio Madness, a place for all you book lovers, where we discuss our current and favorite reads. I'm your host, Laken.
And I'm your host, Rachel. Today, we're diving into the world of Binge-Worthy Series in Bookish Obsessions, going over all of the things that we have binged. Laken has binged more than I, but that's all right. Get ready to explore captivating sagas from classics to hidden gems as we share our favorite and recommended series that are perfect for your next reading binge.
Yeah, so all of you over there, whether you're at home or listening, get ready to snuggle in for a cozy literary chat with us. And without further ado, let's jump right in.
All right. Don't forget your snacks and your drinks. That's important. We have water today as the chosen beverage because I didn't have time to get anything else. So, diving in, our first point is going through binge-worthy series. What makes a series binge-worthy for you?
For me, let's see. I think it's more of a concoction of things. Okay. I don't think for it to be truly binge-worthy, it can't just be one thing. It can't just be good characters or can't just be good world building. It has to have an in-depth world for me and characters that I absolutely adore and connect with and really care about. I have to know I need to know what's going to happen next right then.
Yeah, for me, I feel like it's the Alice in the Wonderland hole kind of feeling. When you fall in, yes, and you don't want to get out.
If I can forget everything else that's going on around me and all I can think about is continuing, that's binge worthy.
I go to band practice with Caleb on Sundays, and I've been binging what we have been binging recently. And everyone walks up to me and goes, How are you reading with this loud of music? And I'm like, I can't even hear it.
The world does not exist outside of these pages.
The Rory Gilmore feeling where Dean's like, yeah, somebody got a bloody nose and they smashed their face on the ground. You didn't even look up. I'm like, yeah, that's because she's binging. That's a binge. She's an addict right now.
Yeah, I feel like it's you can also compare it to binging a TV series or something, it's much of the same thing.
Go down that Grey's Anatomy hole. Been there. Got real sad. Decided I can't trust or love anyone.
I don't even remember how many seasons I got into that. Not very many.
Caleb and I love Grey's Anatomy.
I quit after I can't even remember.
It's okay. It's probably better to quit sooner so you don't get sad. Because if you want to hurt yourself, because you know your toxic trait, that's the show to do it.
Yes.
That's it. That one. Choose that show. Toxic trait of hurting and being sad, that's it. Everyone you ever loved.
You want to know my show that this is another rabbit hole, but you want to know my show that is my comfort sad?
What?
Merlin.
Oh, that is sad. Why that choice? My comfort show is always Gilmore Girls. Everyone's toxic.
That's only the sad version. If I want to be sad, I just watch the last season of Merlin, and I feel sad.
That's rough.
You know that's not my comfort show, though, right?
What's your comfort show? What's
New
your
Girl.
bingey show? What, New Girl?
Yeah. I watched it 5 times.
Oh, that's not... Okay. Binge-worthy. Binge. We're on binges, okay? Gilmore Girls, for me, binging...
I don't even know how many times you've watched that
show. I can't even count. I can tell you right now that I've watched the CD version that I bought when that show was coming out.
Yeah.
At least 100 times. I watched it while doing school, I was watching that show. It would go through season 7 within a week or two, and then I would start back at season 1.
Yeah.
Every time.
For those of you that don't know, her dog even watches Gilmore Girls.
Oh yeah,
it's his comfort show.
Cosmo and Cooper and Max all fall asleep to Gilmore Girls. I will play it in the house, just in the living room, and they'll all go to sleep. I don't have to do nothing. They're just conked.
That's hilarious. You have loved your dogs with Gilmore Girls.
I know, it's great. It's perfect. They hear Lorelai's voice and they're like, oh, that's comforting. I'm like, yep, it is.
time for sleep.
So binge-worthy things, the things we obsess over, the things we can't put down, the things that we can't stop thinking about, and the things we always go back to.
Yeah.
I feel like for me, that's very bingey. What are your personal experiences binge reading? Do you have any ways you enhance your reading experience? For me, I play classical music. My husband thinks I'm crazy, but we go to coffee shops and I'm playing classical music off my phone. He goes, "You're interrupting other people." I'm like, "We're sitting outside with no one with us. We're gonna listen to classical music. It's gonna be okay."
Yeah, I listen to classical music sometimes. I guess the only other way I would enhance it is like, I don't know. I have like actual writing and like fantasy playlists on YouTube that I go to and will sometimes like I put it on either if I'm really into reading and know I won't be interrupted, or I'm writing. So
I feel like music's just such a great choice to enhance reading, but also one of the other things, snacks, enhance reading.
Cozy drinks.
Cozy drinks,
cup
teas,
of tea or coffee.
Coffee. Depending on the book too, like with the current read, Dr. Pepper.
Oh, if only I liked Dr. Pepper.
Dr. Pepper is a good, like, when a character is obsessed with a drink or a food item, it makes you want that food item. So when you're reading that series, I always like try to grab that kind of food item. I don't know why, but that's what my brain does. I'm like, ooh, they have it. I want it.
If only I could relate to that, because most of my things are fantasy. So it's like, I'm gonna go grab a mug of ale.
Let me go get my mug of ale. Go get some rum.
Yeah.
You're gonna be drunk by the end of it. You're not a fae. You can't not get drunk.
I'll have to reread the series because I won't remember what happens.
You don't have my gift.
No, I don't. I do not have that gift. I have the opposite of that gift, and one drink and I'm out.
Latest weight in the world and a person who can't get drunk. Who's tried?
It's real fun. We should do a drinking game.
Oh, that would be so fun! I'd have to like count where I was on shots because I wouldn't get drunk and be like, okay, how far can we go before Rachel gets alcohol poisoning?
Yeah, or I die.
You would die after the second drink. It'd be fun though. It'd be fun.
Yeah,
that's when we go over the erotica books. We get drunk and we go over those.
I'll probably have to be tipsy to talk about those without like giggling. I'll probably just giggle anyways.
Yeah, you're gonna giggle no matter what.
I'm a giggly tipsy person.
Alright, so we now know what we consider binge-worthy.
Yeah.
Alright, you want to start us off with your all-time favorite book series?
Oh, this is such a question, because
you've read a lot.
I have read a lot. I have read a lot of series, especially. Like, I prefer series to standalone books.
Okay.
Because
the commitment.
I do, and I like to know about the characters, and sometimes it makes me sad when all I have is one book.
I agree. I was talking to my coworker about this today because I was like, I like the longevity, and I like knowing that it's not going to end. And maybe that's why I'm none like you who's a binge reader. I like binge reading, but I always leave myself with one more book a lot of the times. I don't finish series, and it's because I don't want the world to end. I don't want to think it as ending. I'm just like, I don't need to know what happens. Anything could happen sometimes. All right. I finished this one, and I finished this one, and I'm sad about it.
This one isn't over.
Yeah, but like,
who knows?
I wasn't counting.
We're pointing at A Court of Thorns and Roses. Yeah. For those of you that cannot see,
yeah, I finished the series, but like this one, A Court of Silver Flames, I'm just like,
okay, so
it's fine.
This is a controversial book. We have the people that like are diehard Nesta stans that love it.
I'm not a Nesta fan though.
I'm not either,
and
y'all can hate me for that, but I still don't like her that much. I'm not
either of her sister fans.
I'm not either.
What's the other? No, not the other sister. What's her name? I remember what she looks like, but I don't remember what her name is.
Explain her to me, because I probably remember.
Short, dark hair.
Amryn.
I want her story, and then I also want the tall blonde.
Morgan.
Yeah.
Yes.
I want their stories.
I do too.
I want those female character stories. I don't want the sisters.
Yeah.
I want so much more to happen with them.
I want Lucian's story.
Same, but
way more.
Without.
Without.
Take her out of it.
glad we are on the same page of this, because this is such a controversial, like, we're touching a topic, right?
Sorry, everybody. I really apologize. We think very alike, and also not alike in some subjects, but very alike on, like,
at least in that series.
Yeah, in that series, we think very similar. I can't deal with her sisters.
I can't either. So a lot of people hate Reese for, like, hating on Nesta and being like, it's uncalled for, and I'm like, it's really not.
No, it's not. It's not uncalled for at all. And I also, like, I like the book. I like the series. It's good, but I just don't like her sisters. You have the overprotective, rude sister, and then you have the damsel in distress lamb. Who doesn't do anything. Who, like a doll.
When her family was poor and starving, raised flowers instead of vegetables.
Yeah.
Make it.
All right. Well, that's another topic for another podcast.
ACOTAR would be up there for me and one of my favorites. But on the same page of ACOTAR, I know a lot of people come into Sarah J. Maas through ACOTAR, and I did. It was the first series of hers I read. But my favorite series of hers, and probably, honestly, of all time, is Throne of Glass. And if you know me in my personal life, and you know this incredibly well, I do not shut up about this.
Nope. I have bought them because she has not stopped talking about them, and I shall read them after this series.
Oh my gosh, it has absolutely everything for me that I enjoy in a series. Like, it has the cozy, nostalgic parts of books, incredible characters. Like, all of the characters in that series are like chef's kiss. I love them. I love them so much. They're my babies. And then the world building and her plot points, like, in the beginning, it's kind of a little jumbled, but it's because she didn't really know what she was doing. So I always tell people the first 3 books are what most people consider the hardest. For me, I loved them though. They were comfy to me. But after that, like, all of her plot points and the world building, like, really take off, and it's incredible.
It's like watching a writer grow.
It is. Throne of Glass to me is what Game of Thrones is to a lot of people. Holy cow! You know what I just realized?
What?
The letters of them are like backwards. You have Game of Thrones, GOT, and then Throne of Glass is TOG.
Well, it's very similar. It's very similar though, because it's a game of thorns, and they have the seat that they sit on. That's the throne.
Throne of Glass and Game of Thrones. Yeah, sorry,
those are very
random.
Are they similar in bookish vibes? Is there dragons in Throne of? I don't know anything about this series.
Throne of Glass. You've got assassins. You've got kingdom politics. You have an evil king that's, like, residing over them. She even delves into, like, the difficulties of, like, slavery and what is it called when, like, another country colonizing. She go like that is a big thing as well. There's dragons, there's witches, not the kind of witches you would think. These are total
like the Salem witches?
bad witches, by the way. Yes, you were talking about longevity of series.
Yes.
This is, like, I think it's 8 books long, I want to say.
Oh, jeez.
But for me, like, I flew through this series. Like, this is, like, a binge read for me. Like, holy cow, I did not stop reading it at all. I read them really quickly, and I am still very sad. There's still a hole in me that there's nothing more.
I don't like the whole part.
If you do not read the last book of this series,
she's gonna fight me. But I just don't like the whole. I finished a lot. I have finished a lot of series, but I have not finished as many as you. Like, she was getting mad at me earlier because I said I didn't finish City of Bones. I'm sorry. I didn't want it to end. I felt connected, and I want to stay connected. I think in my brain that world exists. If I go.
One thing about that series, though, is she wrote a crap ton of books. Like, there is so much within that universe, which I personally love because
there's a lot.
It's also in my list of favorite book series of all times. It's, hit or miss. I feel like people love or hate it, but for me, like, it's a nostalgic
daddy issues.
Yeah,
that's what I get out of that book.
Okay. You're not wrong there.
I know I'm not. I've read it. Daddy issues. Lots.
Yeah. That's another thing that I liked about that. Is
also,
I got to
a little bit incest, I
happen in that book.
Yep.
And if you read this series and you like it, you cannot lie to me that you did not
or
still
watch
ship
the show,
them.
one or the other. The show is not even close to as good as the books, but a lot of people hate the show, by the way, also.
I am one of them.
I don't like it, but it was, The
movie.
The movie was worse.
No hate to Jamie Campbell Bower, though. I love him.
Yeah. I like it is what it is. So, on a different note, my favorite. So, we were talking about this earlier. Like, my all-time favorite book series is a classic book series, and that's Harry Potter. Mm-hmm. I can't not love Harry Potter. I was not like everyone else when I was a kid. Mom, don't kill me for saying this. I'm sorry. My parents would not let us read witchcraft or anything to do with magic. So when I grew up, I read it more as like a teenager who snuck it from a library. And I said, I'm sorry. You can get mad at me. It's fine. I went to the library and I read books. You told me to read. So
there's so much
I read Harry
that
Potter.
Could be happening
I read Harry Potter. And it was my favorite. Everyone on YouTube can see I have wands that we got from Universal. I have just little knickknacks, and I also on the top of our bookshelves, which I most of the time cut out of the video, I have pop figures, and I have a lot of Harry Potter pop figures. Now, this is my favorite series. I feel like it hits all the things that we've talked about, Friends, and all of that. But the series that I'm talking about today, because I binged it, and I went through it very quickly, and I had to hunt these books down so I could go through it quickly, and I did not know where they were. This is the Captive Prince series, which is also on my bookshelf. I have completed it. I am sad. It is an adult book, 18 plus, please. If not, just don't let your parents know. Because it is not child friendly. Don't hold us responsible. We did not tell you to read this book. I did not. I love this series. It has the world building. It has the kingdoms. It has two kingdoms fighting against each other. It has slavery. It has a world depicted in a way that I've not seen a world depicted before. Mm-hmm. This book does have to do with sex slaves, so again, trigger warnings for that. There is rape. There is a lot of triggers. It's a hard read, but the politics in it for me, and that's what I've learned to love in books, is politics a lot. Right. I love the world, the kingdoms,
it really adds more to the world,
the in-depthness.
Yeah, it does, because you can't have a world without
politics.
As much as we sometimes hate them.
Yeah,
you can't have it without it.
It's what keeps the world interesting. You can't have everything can't be human if there's not conflict. And I'm not saying like I like war, but I mean like in conflict and conversation, if we both agree on everything and everything's so happy, then the world's not interesting.
I would say, like, this kind of touches along that for me. Like, a thing that makes a really good series is gray areas. Yeah. Without it being cookie cutter and like very black and white. Yep. I like the gray areas that touch in these issues, which kind of falls in politics.
It falls in that area where you're feeling more like, okay, where do I side on this? Yeah. And you have to make a personal decision on what you think is good or bad. I like that. I like when authors give the option to the reader to decide if they want to think it's good or bad. And that's depicted in a lot of books that we like with main male characters. Is he good or bad?
Yeah, the whole
from Blood and Ash series, Morally Gray. Yeah. We get that very
I love
strong.
A morally gray.
Well, yeah, morally gray fantasy guys, we love you all the way. It happens all the time. It's very common, and it's the same with politics. So for this book series, it was about one of the princes being sold as a sex slave to another kingdom to that prince. Okay. So it was very in-depth. There was a lot of politics, as you can see right off of the bat, because his uncle sold him. Because his older brother died. So in that series, this is right off the bat. You can read the back of the book. I'm not spoiling anything.
Yeah, because I know nothing about this series.
His older brother dies, and he is the younger brother set to take on the kingdom. Mm-hmm. Obviously, politics get in the way. The uncle, because we are in medieval times, sells him as a sex slave to another capital who is the enemy of this kingdom, to the other kingdom. And he sold him to the prince. The other prince who's
the prince to the other kingdom.
The prince to the other kingdom. So this is about two prince men who one of them doesn't realize he has the prince.
Oh, so he does not know.
He doesn't know his sex slave is. Yes. doesn't know it's the prince of the other kingdom. Because he, who's the slave, did something very incredibly bad to that family. And because that prince that he was sold to of the enemy kingdom, his brother died as well.
Yeah. Oh, okay.
But you're seeing
trauma bonding.
Yeah, there's a lot of trauma bonding. It's really political. The whole thing is politics, which I love some politics. I think it's binge-worthy because I want to know what's going on, what's happening. The characters are really great. You felt connected to everyone. You felt remorse for everyone because it's one of those medieval, like, dying, but it's also kind of, what's the world? Fantasy, because it has different kingdoms where they have different things about them.
Right.
Not really magical like you, but more...
Well, yeah, fantasy doesn't necessarily have to be magic.
It's not as magical as, like, high fantasy or anything, but it is very... It's very interesting.
I remember when you were first reading this series and, like, hearing you talked about it a lot.
Yeah.
You were talking about
I told
how intrigued you were about it.
It's very intriguing. I like seeing the world in a perspective that's never been said before, because it's the first book that I ever seen what happened in it happen.
Yeah.
And I was very intrigued to find more about it, and I could not put it down. I finished both the last 2 books on a train to New York City. I read the second one going to New York, and then I bought the third one in New York and read it on the train back.
Yeah.
So it was a very quick read.
Yeah.
Happened very quickly, and I would recommend it to so many as long as you were an adult, because again, it is very graphic. It does lean towards erotica, so just a heads up, there's a lot of triggers in that. But for me, I couldn't put it down, and that's why I consider it an all-time favorite binge, because for you just said it, I talk about this series all the time. And as an adult, it was my first adult read for binge-worthy. So definitely my favorite currently for a binge. But we do have some runner-ups. I'm very excited about a series we're reading currently that's probably, possibly going to take the cake for YA binge-worthy series. So we're going to move on to exploring beloved classics.
Yeah.
Classic binge-worthies, which one of them we have mentioned is Harry Potter, and how it's lasted through the time.
Yeah, it definitely has withstood the test of, you know, the comings and goings and, you know, rise and falls of everything.
Yeah.
I remember, like, if you've been a reader for a really long time, there's, like, trends and stuff, right?
Yes.
So right now I feel like everybody that's kind of in the bookish world is going through a big fantasy trend.
Yeah.
I love.
They did go through a big romance trend before the fantasy trend, though.
There was a huge romance trend, and then I'm sure all of us remember, like, the huge dystopian trend when we were, like, teenagers.
Yep.
Dystopian
land, Hunger Games.
So before that, like with all the trends, Harry Potter has definitely always remained a lot of people's favorites and really close to their hearts. So I would say it's definitely a classic.
It's definitely a classic binge. I don't think Harry Potter can ever be dethroned. It has too much of a world built around of it.
And too big of a fan base as well.
Like, I can go into a Starbucks and ask any barista what's your Hogwarts house? What's your house? And I don't even have to say Hogwarts. I can just ask them, what's your house? And they'll tell me Ravenclaw, Slytherin, Hufflepuff, Gryffindor. They'll have an answer. That's what it happens everywhere, especially with our generation. We know. I know what what is it called? What is it called? I'm gonna forget. Not my wand, but my...
Your Patronus?
My Patronus, that's the word. It's a gray squirrel.
Yeah.
I know that. Why do I know that?
Mine was a terrier.
Because we're obsessed. See? You know it. My wand was...
Don't know how that makes
Rowan
sense for
Wood
me.
with unicorn.
I don't remember. Okay, so I'm not as huge of a fan as Harry Potter as you are.
Yeah.
I am a fan of it. I don't remember what my wand is made of.
Favorite book, as is presented for YouTube, can see, but it's Goblet of Fire. I know a lot of people... This is a lot of people's favorite. It's such a good book, but I cried at the end.
I would say another reason this is, like, a standing classic in the literary world is also because it's still bringing in new readers. We still have young readers and even older readers
who are
that
reading
read it for the first time.
And
also,
also,
still love it.
this series has influenced other authors because as we're reading Crave, this Crave was very highly influenced by Harry Potter, I feel like.
We mentioned that in our last episode when we talked about Crave, and if you haven't heard us talk about it, make sure to go back and watch it, because this is a book series we don't want you to miss out on.
Yeah, it's so good. Oh my god. Favorite current read of the year for me is Crave. I know it's on Laken's list. It's not her top because she's read Fourth Wing and I haven't. But Crave definitely is hitting the top series, and it's very similar to Harry Potter, and because of that, I think that's it. Harry Potter did it right. It made you connected to people. It made you sad. It made you love the found family. It made you love the friendship. It made you hate people.
All of these points have definitely been hit so far in the series for us.
We also have some other classics that I would consider, and we are saying classics not as in like Shakespeare, but classics as in classic binge-worthy series that we grew up with. Hunger Games, as you mentioned earlier, dystopian. Hunger Games has lasted through the test of time. We've watched Divergent fall off bookshelves quickly. We've seen Maze Runner fall off bookshelves because it turned into a movie and everybody stopped caring about the books as much. But Hunger Games is still the book series that people watch the movies and read the books too.
And it withstood, like I said, the dystopian trend.
Yeah.
I still feel like people read it, and also the politics and like points that happen within the Hunger Games are so relevant in today's world. It's scary.
It's very similar to today's society in the States.
Yeah, the new book released a year or two ago, and we have the new movie coming out, which I am so excited to see. I got goosebumps.
There we go.
I fixed it. I got goosebumps watching the trailer at the movie theater the other night.
I don't have the fourth book up here, but the fourth book actually goes into Snow's story.
Yeah, the
and it book makes you like him. I was angry.
I haven't read the fourth book yet because I'm scared.
It makes you like the bad guy, and it makes you mad.
If that is the sign of a good writer, if you can make your readers like someone that we all vehemently hated with like every fiber of our soul for 3 books.
Yeah,
it's
frustrating. I need to have some.
Hats off to you,
but I can't. So that one I definitely say this stood the test of time. And then the other one that I have written, neither of us have finished, and it's not that it's not binge worthy. It's just that it's long, and it's definitely binge worthy if you can.
There's so many other things on my TBR. Yeah, I keep coming back to it and dropping it off.
Yeah, and it makes my heart sad because I love the show besides the last season, and I loved the book. The first book's great, and then we have they get better as we go along, but it's such a classic for a lot of people. I feel like it would be wrong not to mention it, and it's Game of Thrones.
Yeah, Game of Thrones. It is definitely a lot, and it brought a lot of people into not just like the fantasy world, but the literary world as well.
Yep.
Because people watching the show ended up coming into it.
Yep. Yeah. Same thing with Hunger Games. That's what happened with that. Is people watched the show and they watched the movie and they were like, we need more. And then they read the books, and that's actually how I started reading Hunger Games, because Caleb, my husband, was assigned Hunger Games to read in school, which I didn't know was a thing, and I was like, dang,
we read it in school too.
That's so intriguing. They're like, hey, teenagers, you want to read about 24 teenagers killing themselves, like killing each other? Let's go.
And then rising up against their government that was corrupted?
Yeah, that seems a very great school book. It's fine. So that book, I watched the movie, and then I immediately watched all of the series before they finished, as I dropped everything behind me. It's fine. But I watched and read all of the books before this movie's released, after I watched the first movie, and then I got into a lot of in-depth reading. Then I read Divergent, then I read Maze Runner, and then we went through the dystopian phase, and we read all of the dystopian books, because as Gen Zers, we were like, hey, let's get ready for the end of the world.
I think there's something to say about the fact that we all grew up in such an era of revolutionizing, like in dystopian worlds. But anyways, I read.
We were talking about the classics: Game of Thrones, Hunger Games, Harry Potter. A lot of the significance, like it changed a lot of things in today's society as well. Because like Hunger Games went crazy, everybody was talking about it. Game of Thrones was out constantly red wedding everybody. I remember the day that episode came out.
I'm sorry to all of you die-hard Game of Thrones fans. The Red Wedding is what has made me stop caring about it.
I'm sorry.
I have not continued watching the show since that trauma happened to me.
In fairness, the last season sucks. So, there's that.
Literally turned off the TV. I didn't even exit out of the episode. I just turned off the television like before that episode ended.
That's fair. I think there's a lot more classics out there. Anyone else, if you have a classic that you can think of that's binge-worthy, let us know, because I'm curious on what other classics have like changed the forefront for writing styles and expectations. Because Game of Thrones introduced dragons and introduced high fantasy outside of like the original classics like Lord of the Rings.
Yeah, I feel like another big one from our time, my Harry Potter, if you will, was Percy Jackson.
Oh, Percy Jackson was great.
Percy Jackson was essentially like what Harry Potter is to you, I feel like.
I love Percy, I do. And I love Greek mythology, but have you read the Last Hero series?
Yeah, I have. It's been a while.
I like The Last Hero more than I like Percy Jackson.
Oh,
Percy Jackson. For me, Percy was too whiny.
That's it. I'm gonna leave.
No, you're not. You know it's true. You know it's
You're
true.
Gonna see me. If I could stand up and walk away right now, I would.
He's very, very whiny.
He was 12 freaking years old.
Yeah, this is why I like Zeus's son better. Sorry, Poseidon has a lot of waterworks in his son. I love him. I do.
Are you telling me that you like Jason more than you like Percy?
Yes.
No way.
Yes, I'm telling you that right now.
I think there are people out in our audience that would agree with me. Jason is 10 times more annoying.
No.
I could not
He's not as
stand
whiny.
Jason.
That he was like a teenager in it versus like a child. And in all recording starting now. Okay. We're back. Sorry. Technical difficulties has been today's story of our lives. Editing Rachel, I'm sorry in advance.
Hey, but at least we're doing this in advance and not 12 hours before the episode comes out.
We've been really good at that. She just had a baby, everybody. Don't judge us. We're doing our best to make sure we get episodes out no matter what.
That's what counts.
And getting the quality. So we will stay up until like 11 p.m. sometimes.
Yeah.
We've done it. All right, so we were talking about, we're going to have to go back so we can just start back over on hidden gems and emerging series. Mm-hmm. So things that we think are coming out new, things that we've discovered recently in the year, books that we've gone over. I know mine. I think she has hers. So spotlight on lesser known or emerging series that deserve attention or more attention. For me, personally, it's Crave. Yes. Underrated.
Yeah, underrated in all caps. Okay, so I am one of those readers, and maybe this is just like an immersion thing that I like to do, and also because I mentally cannot paint my own picture sometimes.
Yeah.
Like, until I see a character, like, fan art, they're blank. Doesn't matter what your description is, I can't picture a face until I see someone else, like, having pictured it. So one of the first things I do when I start a new series, it has gotten me in trouble sometimes because I spoil stuff.
Yeah.
But I look up fan art for stuff so I can like see the characters and what other people think they look like. Crave is so underrated. There is a criminal amount of fan art. There's nothing, like hardly anything.
I was like, Crave came out in 2020.
Sad.
I'm obsessed with it. I can't put it down. It's very similar to Harry Potter. It has the aesthetic of Wednesday the show, which Wednesday ripped it off for. And its characters are great. The romance is awesome. The magic is, like, it's not anything perfect, granted. Characters could have a little bit more development. World could have a little bit more world building. Mm-hmm. Everything could have more, and that's no matter what. Nothing about it is, one specific thing is great.
Yeah.
But all together is what makes it perfect for me.
I can't put it down either. Like I'm 200 pages into the third book right now, and like,
I'm starting the third book.
This is going to be a top series for me.
Like, I told you.
It'll be one of my tried and true classics. I think, like in my personal library, it'll be a tried and true.
It has to be there. It's so good. I love Jackson. I love Grace. I love Macy. I love Flint. I loved a few other characters. We're not going to talk about this until next episode.
Mecky,
I love you. Underrated character as well.
Yes.
In the book. Mackie is great.
He's one of my favorites.
And, like, I think this book is so underrated. It came out in 2020, and I just heard about it when Cherish came out, and I was like, I want to read it. I told Caleb this for 2 years, mind you, and he can fact check. I kept going through Target and seeing Crave, and I was like, I want to read that. And he goes, it looks like Twilight. And I said, oh, okay, fine.
Yeah, the
and I
cover
never read
art
the
looks
back.
like Twilight.
I never read the back because he said it looks like Twilight. And I was like, okay.
Okay.
Fine.
Yeah. Gosh darn it, we could have fell in love sooner, but all things in the right time. Because now the series is completed, so we don't have to wait.
So we can binge it all.
It's
but
nice.
definitely underrated. Please go read it if you haven't. I have no words. It's underrated. It's so underrated.
It is very underrated. So, like, there are books that deserve the hype, and, some that are way overhyped. This one does not have enough. Like, I do not see enough people talk about it. I do not know, like, anybody outside of us that has read it.
I really don't. I can't say one person.
I can't either, and it's really sad. Although I have convinced some people to read it.
I've looked up TikToks for Crave, and I've seen people just say it's not great. It doesn't have great writing. It doesn't have great characters. It doesn't have great romance, but it's perfect. And I've seen only like 3 TikToks where people were like, I love it. I absolutely love it.
I will say, like, her writing style is not perfect, but like it's charming and it's easy to read. It's captivating.
I don't think writing style has to be perfect unless you're writing a classic. Like if you're writing Shakespeare, you're writing like Edgar Allan Poe. They weren't perfect writers, but that's what we see as classic English literature. Charles Dickens, Moby Dick, like all of those writers. But like new day and age, we just want something that makes us happy.
Yeah, I am definitely, like, I enjoy classics. I think we both do.
We do, yeah.
I am in no way ever going to shame someone for something that brings them happiness and joy in the book world. You like what you like, you know, and if it makes you happy, I don't care if the writing is garbage. It might not be for me, but like I said that about Twilight, like the writing is, in my opinion, not great.
I will say Crave's writing is way better than Twilight.
It is way better.
But if you're comparing it to like other things out there, it's not gonna be.
Yeah, like if it brings you happiness, it's a matter of personal opinion. But that being said, I think a lot of people would enjoy this series more so than like it has.
Oh yeah, for 100%.
Like if people knew about it more, they would enjoy it.
The second book, just like this one, Goblet of Fire, very similar vibes. Very similar vibes. Also very similar vibes to A Court of Thorns and Roses.
I was going to say, the second book in the Crave series kind of had A Court in Mist and Fury vibes for me.
Yeah.
And, like, the third book is also kind of tinging on that, like, kind of when the second and third book are kind of got that vibe right now.
Yeah, like, I don't know. I feel like it's so underrated.
It's also really early for us to, like, I don't know. It's too early for me to say that it doesn't have good world building because we've only ever experienced Catmere Academy.
Yeah.
There's, like, what?
These are just things that I heard on TikTok from
3 or 4 other books that we have to go through.
And they just went off the first book. And I'm like, you can't go off a 6-book series and just off the first. That's not fair.
No, you definitely cannot go off of a longer series with just the first book. Because oftentimes the first book, not always true, oftentimes the first book in a series is the worst one in my opinion.
That's fair though. Like for me, Crave's a 5-star read because I wanted to dive into this world head first. I craved more.
Not saying it's a bad book. It's just normally not the best one out of the series.
No, like Crush right now is beating Crave.
Yeah.
In my opinion.
It definitely beat Crave in my opinion. I love Crush.
So I'm like waiting to see where Covet takes me on that adventure. I know she's farther ahead than I am at the moment, which is new because I was farther ahead of her the whole time until she binged The Last End. And I did not keep up because I was editing while she was binging.
Listen, I couldn't stop reading it.
I had
to read it.
Had to get the podcast up.
Yeah.
Didn't have a choice. So, besides our newly discovered binge-worthy book that you guys are probably going to hear us talk about a lot, we have the up-and-coming, which Laken's going to take over this section because I have not read the up-and-coming Binge-Worthy series yet. I'm going to be reading it soon, but I have not read it yet.
So this is like we said, up and coming. It's not a series yet. You guys might have heard me talk about Fourth Wing if you've listened to previous episodes. Mm-hmm. If not, Fourth Wing has been my top read of the year. 6-star read for me right now.
We got a unicorn. She got a 6-star.
We'll see at the end of the year if it stays that way, but I really think it will. But the second book comes out in November,
Yep.
and people, like, I feel like are losing their minds over this. Like, it has...
I pre-ordered it.
It's definitely
and I
been
haven't read
hyped
the
up.
first one.
In my opinion, it deserves all the hype. I really enjoyed it. I could not put the book down.
I feel like this is strange for the TikTok world for books as well. I've watched a lot of book talkers talk about this book going, it's not overhyped. It's not.
Yeah.
It's not over. And it's all kinds of different people. You have guys, you have girls, you have older guys, you have older girls, you have younger girls, younger guys. It's all across the board. Like, everyone on every community I've seen has liked this book.
It just... It blew me out of the water. I cannot wait to see where this series goes.
I'm very excited to start it.
Yeah, you
Because
should be.
I get, right after I finish, I don't know if I'm going to be able to focus on anything else besides the Crave series right now.
I know.
But
I tried in between book 2 and 3 of Crave series to try to read something else, and I couldn't do it.
Yeah, I don't think it's going to happen for me, not after the last line of Crush.
That means it's a binge-worthy series, definitely.
So
tried and proved if we cannot read anything in between.
Even if it's Fourth Wing, I want to read it really badly, and I also want to read If He Was With Me. I think that's the name of it. But I can't focus on it. I'm thinking about is Hudson and Grace and Jackson and Flint and Macy and all of these characters, and I just can't not think about it. And Caleb's been like, "Are you gonna shoot?" I'm like, "Nope,
nope. This is a binge.
This is it. This is what we get." So, very excited for the emerging series of Fourth Wing. I'm very excited to jump into another series right after finishing a series.
Yeah.
Let us know if there's any other upcoming series that you guys think are binge worthy. I'm trying to think of any other series that I've read that's like upcoming that's binge worthy. That's a new series. Foxglove King, I know is upcoming, but I haven't read the first one.
Yeah, we've seen stuff around about that, but I haven't read it either. Another book that was on my list for like my favorite book series, and one of the books made it onto my top 5 of the year so far.
Are we getting into series recommendations now?
Well, I was gonna say there's a new book coming out.
Ooh, it is a new book. Yeah.
So it's kind of upcoming because it's a new series that's coming out.
Yeah, that's true.
It's a sequel series. For those of you that don't know, the Shades of Magic series by V.E. Schwab she's releasing a new trilogy that follows in the aftermath of Shades of Magic.
Yeah.
So I would put that, even though the first book hasn't even been released, Shades of Magic was such a good book series for me.
Yeah, I would say it's up and coming then.
It's an up and coming binge worthy for me.
Probably, yeah, 100%, because that's releasing
it's
very
in like
soon.
A month.
Yeah. We have too many books to buy and too many books to read. It's becoming a problem. Other things, I think that's all of our hidden gems. If you guys have any hidden gems or have any emerging series, let us know. Hit it in the comments or post it somewhere. There's plenty of places for social media that you can put it. Other binge-worthy series recommendations that we have. The one that we've recently discovered that we both have listed is Crave.
Yeah.
But do you want to dive into your other binge-worthy series? We don't have to go into much detail. I would just throw them out their name.
Yeah. So I have mentioned, I mentioned Dakatar already. I feel like that one is definitely binge-worthy.
It's on my list too.
I flew through that in like the beginning of 2020.
Yeah.
Yeah, it took me like right down the rabbit hole.
She read it and then she was like, "Hey, you need to read this," and then I read it.
Akatar did for me what I think it did a lot of people. It brought me back into reading. I had not read, like I had read in the span from like high school, but not a lot. I had only picked up maybe a book or two here and there for several years, and then reading this, it really reignited my love for reading. And then another couple of ones that we haven't talked about. You haven't read this series. It's only a duology, but it has heavy Akatar vibes. I read it in the aftermath of it.
I think I saw that book.
These Hollow Vows.
Yep.
It's just 2 books, but I read them like really quickly because they had the Akatar feel. They had a very Rhysand like love interest.
We always love one of those.
Yeah, love triangle. I don't.
Even though I'm sorry, and I know this is gonna hate some of the worlds. Rhys and Rhysand versus
Castile. Rhysand.
No, Cass all the way.
Rhysand is like my number 1. The only character that has come close to dethroning Rhysand is in Fourth Wing for me.
I'm sorry, I don't like him that much. It's not that I hate him, I just don't love him. I don't love him.
I love him.
He's a little bit more toxic for me.
No.
For Blood and Ash. I don't like Poppy as much as I love Freya, but
no, Freesand is he's a top for me.
You enjoy that book, boyfriend. All right, what other book recommendations you got? Book series besides ACOTAR?
Another one of my classics I had talked about. I don't remember when I talked about it, but I had mentioned the Mortal Instruments in our episode so far. As much as I love the Mortal Instruments, and it has a special place in my heart, the Infernal Devices, which is the prequel series for those of you that don't know, will always and forever hold like a piece of my soul. That series and the relationship between Will, Tessa, and Jim, like, whoo, I could talk about that series a lot.
Okay. Now, I have the first book on my shelf. Yes. I have not read this series.
Oh my gosh.
So I feel like I'm offending her.
You need to read this series. It's only 3 books. It's only a trilogy. So, and you do not have to have read all of them. Is it the
parents? Because you said it's a prequel.
It is not the parents.
Who's it focused on then?
Very distant relatives.
Okay, that's fine. Because it's the Clockwork Angel,
ancestors.
Which made me think it was farther back.
So, Tessa is in the Mortal Instruments. Mm-hmm. Her character comes into the Mortal Instruments. The Herondale line is in the Mortal Instruments. Will Herondale.
Yeah.
And then, not really a spoiler, but another character is also played into it.
Okay.
The Warlock. I don't remember if you remember Magnus Fane.
I did.
Magnus is in that. Yeah.
Now that now that Magnus is in it, which is my favorite character from City of Bones, just to let you know.
Magnus Fane is amazing.
I love Magnus. Now that I know he's in it, stop giving me books to put on my TV.
Have you read the book that is about Magnus Fane? There's a whole book dedicated to his stories.
I can't. They have too many books. Too many.
You will never finish your TBR as long as I'm around.
As long as I live, I will never finish my TBR.
I feel the same way, though.
I will die before I get to read all of the books I want to, and that makes my heart sad. But that's okay, because some things are left to be unread.
I will say, like, the way things are going right now between... Oh, should I say this? This is, I don't know, kind of not really spoilery for Crush. The way things are going with our main... three right now, our main relationship, is kind of like reminiscent for me about kind of 4, but 3 in technical sense right now. So what's going on with them is very reminiscent to me of what happens to the main 3 in the Infernal Devices.
Okay. I'm very excited for my future self, who's going to hopefully one day just only read books.
Clockwork Princess, like, crushed a piece of my soul. Ooh. The last book in the series. But anyways, that's the end of my personal recommendations and favorites.
As mentioned before, I have not read as many series as Laken, because she's, like, high fantasy reader.
I like series. You've read more standalones than
I have read a lot of standalones. You guys can't see this because the couch always blocks it, but this bookshelf has 2 more shelves below it, and all of it's nonfiction, and, well, not nonfiction, fiction and nonfiction, and then also history fiction, and then I have an entire 2 bookshelves over across the room that are all romance, which I need to pull out my other books, because those shelves aren't full yet, because I have more books to put on them, and then out in my living room I have my classics, but I've read a lot of standalones versus series, so when I was thinking of this list, I had to get very, like, thought process, because I read a lot more genres than Laken does. So my series, which one of my favorites, romance series, it's a YA, but it's a classic. It's a cozy read. It did get turned into a movie, just a heads up, so if you don't want to read the books, you have that option. I think the movies did it justice to what it was, which is surprising for a lot of books, but it was To All the Boys I've Loved Before. People have probably watched the movie way before they knew it was a book.
I knew it was... Which I saw the movie, like, on Netflix or something before I knew it was a book series.
Jenny Han is a great writer. She also did The Summer I Turned Pretty, which is also a great book series.
Didn't it just get
it also just got turned into a show on Amazon instead of Netflix. So Netflix is To All the Boys I Loved. It's movies. And then if you want a show, The Summer I Turned Pretty is on Amazon. Summer I Turned Pretty is a great summer read, but it is very sad in my opinion. To All the Boys I Loved is a romance binge-worthy, and I did binge To All the Boys I Loved very quickly. I read those back to back to back because I wanted to know what happened. So for me, that was a great romance binge. And then I also have ACOTAR listed, but I'm not going to go into detail because we have. And then A Good Girl's Guide to Murder, binge-worthy for thriller, great read for October, highly recommend. Just, it's on the top of my shelf in next to my Stephen King books, which I don't know. A Good Girl's Guide to Murder was so intriguing, and I didn't want to put it down because you had to know what happened next. It's one of those books where you read it like you're eating cake. It's just
right. Keep going. One more bite.
You're like, you tell yourself you're not going to take another bite, but you do, and then you just don't stop. So it's one of those binges, or just getting a bag of chips and sitting and just, you're like, I'm going to put this bag of chips up. For me, it's Cheez-Its. Those are my binge snack. Do you have a binge snack?
A binge snack?
Yeah, like a snack that you can't put away, that your like significant other has to take away from you, or somebody physically needs to take it away from you, or you can't put it down.
Gummy worms.
Gummy worms?
I will destroy a bag of gummy worms if they are in front of me. I will literally eat them until I am sick and not realize it, and then I'll be like, man, I feel really bad.
Me, it's always Cheez-Its. I will binge eat at one point, before I took the trash out in my office, because I work from home, I had 4 boxes of Cheez-Its in there. Laken can tell you right now, there's a box of Cheez-Its sitting on my bookshelf.
There is a box of Cheez-Its.
Yeah, reduced fat. It makes me feel a little bit better about it. But I'm a lactose intolerant, and I down those things. It's a problem. If you have a binge-worthy snack, let us know. I want to know.
Yeah.
There's so many.
I love snacks.
I love snacks. Snacks are the best.
I like
binging things. It's a problem. I've watched way too many
TV shows. Do we have
shows.
A personality thing about binging? I do.
I've watched so many shows and read so many books and have binged so many snacks. It's problematic.
Yeah, I feel like mine kind of stems from hyperfixation though.
Mine just stems from maybe a slight addiction to things. Get addicted, and I'm like, where is it at? I binged Bridgerton within a day. I watched the new Queen Charlotte, one day. Me and Caleb watched it all day.
I wish I had the time to watch.
Oh,
I think if I had watched that show before I had kids, it would have been quicker. But yeah, it took me a while, but I did like it a lot.
No,
Queen Charlotte was, in my opinion, better. But
yeah, I agree. I loved Queen Charlotte. It took me and Caleb a Saturday to watch that show.
Which is, it's not that many episodes.
No,
if
it's
you
like
think
6.
about it.
It was 6 hours.
6 hours. That's 2 Lord of the Rings.
Don't judge me. It's fine. All right. So we're going to go on to listener recommendations, which we did get some posts on Instagram. We did get a listener recommendation for a series. It was
The Stars Are Dying.
Stars Are Dying.
That's been what we have been recommended. We have put it on our TBR to come back to, hopefully soon. It is, I think, the first book in an upcoming series. Because I did not see any other books when I looked it up.
I was like, she was showing me it before we started the podcast, so I'm excited. I'm excited that we have people recommending books. That's what makes my heart really, really happy.
This is the thing I love about books so much, is like the connection and recommending to people and getting recommendations.
Yeah.
It makes me feel like connected to people on a level that like is really intimate to me, because books are such a personal thing for me. So
I agree. I'm
excited about this.
You guys know, I just recommended Captive Prince to you. That's going to say a lot about who I am as a person. And that's very personal.
Yeah.
Mom, don't read that book series, please. It's a bad idea. But everybody else. You'll find out a lot about me very quickly if you read that book series. So, very excited for the Nightfall series and reading The Stars Are Dying. I'm very excited to see what our community likes as a book read, and like what their thoughts, and I don't know, it's like diving into someone else's mind, so I'm very excited.
It is, like I said, like an intimate, it's like a glimpse into their soul. And people are like, I love this book series, read it, and you're just like, okay.
She glimpsed into my soul because I was like, hey, I love this book, it's called Verity, read it.
That's not a glimpse into the soul.
That's a glimpse into the dark
side.
That's
my misery. Because I need someone to help me get through this.
That's like, hey, you saw the darker shade over there? Let's go walk over there. It's kind of a little bit of water, some fish netting, and then you get told that those are children's legs in the front cover.
Sorry.
Thank you, Laken, for that. really appreciate it. We did make a podcast on Verity too, so you can go back and watch that one as well. Go through that. I got scared very much so that
Yeah, we were filming it when it was dark.
Yeah.
So
I got very scared
it was
at one point.
spooky.
All right. So I think that's all. Reading experience. Do we want to hit on the reflect of a unique reading experience that comes with indulging in the series? Because I feel like we've talked about binging.
Yeah. So I don't know. For like I said, indulging in a series, I feel like if I really indulge in a series and really connect to it on that level that makes it a favorite or a binge, it does have a piece of like identity in it.
Yeah.
Almost like if you were to read when you read Throne of Glass, like it'll like that holds such a place in like my heart that like I don't know how else to explain it other than
I feel like with a lot of binging situations, it becomes almost family.
yeah, everything in it just it's a home.
Yeah.
Almost.
It's
That's
a home away from
me.
home, and it's weird. Like for me, Gilmore Girls, that was my home away from home.
Yeah.
Harry Potter, my home away from home.
You find comfort in these things, and you can come back to it time and time again, and it'll be just as good.
It's very much so like a safety to get to something that's so.
I would say that's probably like my unique experience with the binge books that I read. It's like that.
I feel like it's like very family. Mm-hmm. I don't know. Everybody has a different experience. I don't know if you're binging a series, you're so
yeah, because the characters become
involved in the world.
Yeah, and the characters become like friends or even like family to you.
And then the problem is some of them die.
Have you? Okay, so this might be like random tidbit here. It might be a little bit depressing and sad. Did you know your brain cannot differentiate feelings of like when you're reading a book from like real life? So when you are connected and in love with a character in a book, your brain like it's real love. So when you really love a character that much, it's real. Your brain doesn't know the difference.
This makes me sad.
Doesn't it?
Makes me sad for some characters that I just went through.
Yeah, and that you love, and your brain is hurting for them. Yeah, it's...
All right.
Sorry for that.
So, what we need from you guys, continue recommending books. Leave us your favorite binges. Leave us your favorite recommendations for series. Leave us your underrated series. Because if you have another book that's like Crave that I haven't heard about, I want to know about it. I want to know about it yesterday, 2 days ago, a week ago.
Yeah.
When was I told about this and why wasn't I told about this? I want to know as soon as possible for all of those. Do you have anything else that you want to prompt before we close out?
No. Just, if you guys have any recommendations or any additional thoughts on any of the series that we've talked about, you can always comment down below or just DM us on Instagram.
Yeah, DMs are always open.
We're open.
We always have DMs open for everybody. I think that's everything. Don't forget to leave book recs. Don't forget to comment what your thoughts are on the series. But thank you for listening to Biblio Madness. Don't forget to subscribe and leave us a review on your favorite podcast platform. Don't forget to subscribe on YouTube. We also have that. You can leave comments below. Follow us on Instagram. We have a GoodReads account. We have a TikTok account that's getting more uploaded on posts. We are working on making some more reviews. We have some upcoming exciting new things like Wednesday Madness, where we're going to try to get more involved with our community. And then I think that's everything we've got. So until next time, keep things bookish, I think is what the line is. But I don't know. Keep things mad. Let's keep going.
Keep up with this.
Yeah, we wrote a script, and I feel so scripted sometimes. I go off of it completely onto a different.
We're organic here, like we've said before.
It's I call it a bullet point script.
They're more of guidelines, should you say?
it's more of a guideline. But again, thanks everybody for listening. We're excited. We'll see you next week. We're gonna dive into the second book that we keep craving and talking about.
We cannot wait to talk about Crush with you guys.
Yeah.
At least I can. I'm excited.
I'm so excited to talk about Crush.
That's all.
That's all.
We are going to say goodbye, and until next time.
Farewell, have a great day, and happy birthday. It's your birthday.